Welcome to the Italian Garden channel. My name is John and I'll be your host today. I want to talk to you guys today about making your own potting soil or making your own seed starting soil. I make my own here with a cocoa coir and a variety of other ingredients. I'm going to show you here in a second, and I will get to that and enjoy this beautiful sunny day we have here in Oregon, which doesn't happen very often. So I'm gonna turn the camera down and put you guys right down here where I'm working, and I'll show you some of the ingredients and how I do this. A gallon of water. It's one of the things. You're actually gonna need 9 gallons of water, but I'm gonna measure it out with a 1 gallon old tea container, and I'm just gonna pour it out of my rain barrel. And then you're gonna need 1 cocoa coir block. This is from General Hydroponics. I get it from my local hydroponics store. It's 11 pounds or 5 kilograms of cocoa peat. It'll expand into 5 times its original size. And here's the block. That's what it looks like. And this will give you about this size tub worth, just about an 18-gallon tub. And then I have a 20-gallon tub over here. That'll give you those both full with those. So you fill it with 9 gallons of water, you let it soak up. It'll soak up there for a couple minutes or so, and it'll finally expand and break it up. It'll actually probably take an hour, so I'll probably take a break, then show you when it's soaked up, and then go from there. But I'm just going to give you the ingredients here. I use a 1 gallon tub of compost mixed in with that because it gives it lots of richness and gives the plant nutrients. You don't have to add fertilizer in that way. It's a more natural fertilizer. And then over here, I didn't bring it over here, so I'll add a couple cups of the Gaia Green Glacial Rock Dust. That's what I'm using right now. I just recently bought today some azobite to try that out. So whatever you have, whatever rock dust it may be, I would highly recommend putting it in, because even the compost doesn't have enough nutrients to give the plants what they really need, and that's what they need is minerals. Some of those minerals have been stripped out of our land and out of our diets, and we need to put them back. Then I use a pretty excessive amount. This is vermiculite. It's a little wet right now because I have it outside and it got moisture in it. It's quite heavy in this big brown bag I have here. But I would highly recommend using vermiculite. It's about only 20 bucks for this huge bag. I think it's 3 cubic feet, 3.5 cubic feet. So 20 bucks for 3.5 cubic feet. That'll get you through at least, I would say 4 or 5, maybe even 6 of these cocoa coir block mixings. And so those are all the ingredients I use. And I'm not stingy on the vermiculite because it adds a lot of fluffiness to the soil. It makes it really good for potting. So I'm gonna soak this up with 9 gallons of water. I'm gonna pour the first one here. Hopefully you guys can kind of see that a little bit. I'm trying to get all the ingredients in here when I'm showing you, but kind of pour that in there, and I'll do this 9 times. Fill it up with 9 gallons all over this block, and it'll start soaking that up, and it should soak up all the water, and it'll be done. And then I add the compost. It'll dry that up a bit. Compost is a little moist, but not too moist, so it'll soak up some of that water as well. Alright, I'm going to get doing all that compost and pouring all those gallons in there, and then I'll get back to you when it's all soaked up and ready to go. Alright, so just a couple minutes. I poured this in here, and now it's all mixed. I mean, I would recommend, because I have some blocks, some pieces like this that are kind of dry, and you have to do a lot of stirring to get it in. So if you have that problem, just add maybe half a gallon more than 9, and it should work. But the soil's pretty moist. It's sticking to my hands pretty well, and it's that kind of dark, rich color, and some water comes out of it when you squeeze it, so it's about the perfect consistency with 9 gallons. So that's great right there. See how that one block almost took up this entire 18-gallon storage tote. So I'm probably not going to have too much room to do any sort of compost in here right now, so I'm probably going to have to transfer some of it over to this already mixed up cocoa core, and then just estimate on how it looks, because I know what's the perfect mixture after doing it the last time. So I'm just going to transfer a couple shovelfuls, mix that stuff up, and add a little compost to that bin over there. And then it should be good. It's alright. I think call that good right there for right now. So just add your compost in here. Now, an alternative compost, if you're not a big compost user, then you could add fertilizer to this, and you can just skip the compost if you'd like, or use some sort of if you wanted to use, I would highly discourage using an organic fertilizer, but if that's what you have and that's what you've been using, grub, don't want that in my stuff. This compost has been outside too. That I would probably say against, even though some bugs in your soil and in your compost, in your garden seed starting mix is okay. I would probably say try to avoid getting compost from outside. This is just what I had, so add a little bit to this bucket over here. Add a little bit too much there. Another grub. Damn grubs. So I'm gonna mix that in. Try to break up any clumps you see too, because clumps with compost are always a pain in the butt when you put your seed trays in, and then you have a giant clump of compost in one of your seed trays, and then you're just like, why do I have to deal with this? So it's kind of a pain in the butt, but it pays off to just put your hand in the dirt and get it all filthy, and then not have so many clumps in your seed starting mix or your multi-purpose garden soil. So I'm gonna mix this up a little bit here. Freaking peanut butter tree seed. Try not to get dirt all over the patio, but you just want a little bit of compost in there. I mean, you're gonna have to fertilize your seedlings, but this is just a good starter base. That's a big piece. Good starter base for your seedlings to have a little bit of nutrients in there to grab a hold of when they're just starting out, and then when they get to a sizable size, you can add your, oops, don't go too wacky there, John. Watch where you're scooping. You can see some of that cocoa core string there. And all cocoa core is just coconut husks, ground up really finely. Some of it is left unground. There's that fibrous type of look to it. And I would really recommend using cocoa peat over peat moss for this, because cocoa peat has a neutral pH, and it will not cause any sort of weird growth in your plants or cause them to just instantly die off when you plant them. Because I've planted in like peat pellets for say before, opposed to cocoa core pellets, and pretty much all the tomatoes, for some reason, planted in the peat pellets would grow a little bit and they'd pop out of the soil, instantly die. It's the funniest thing. I have no idea why it happens, but it happens. And it's just strange. I'm gonna call that good. I'll mix that one over there later off camera, but just for you guys, that's what that looks supposed to look like. That's the perfect mixture of cocoa core, and compost mixed in there. So after that, You want to come in your vermiculite bag here. Get a nice scoop of vermiculite. Dump it in. And I'd probably do 6 or 7. I don't know how many liters, or if it's probably about around a half gallon or maybe close to a gallon this bucket is. But I'm just gonna guesstimate and say add about 5 to 6 buckets or gallons of this stuff in here, and or just eyeball it until you see you like the consistency of it, because it'll give it a good consistency, a really rich, nice consistency that has a lot of air in it, and I'll show you that once I get it mixed. Don't want to just end the video without you guys knowing what it looks like, right? Getting full again. Maybe I should have took a little bit more cocoa core out. Gotta make sure you get in the corners, because see, there's that corner of really non-mixed cocoa core just sitting over there. Doesn't have anything in it. Unbroken up. Whoops. I'm gonna have to scoop a bunch of dirt off the patio after this. Alright. Actually, I did about 4 of those buckets. 4? Yeah, I think I did 4. 3 or 4 in there. And that is actually looking really good. Really good. I would almost call that good right there. Just look at that. Almost looks like a store-bought potting soil. You just look at that stuff. Beautiful. Just beautiful. So that's how you make your own seed starting mix, potting soil, multi-purpose potting soil. It's really good for everything. I know Praxis on the Praxis channel, or Ray on the Praxis channel, he uses this exact stuff. He probably mixes it up a little bit different, but in essence, that's it. Now I'll come over and use some of this Gaia Green Glacial Rock Dust, sprinkle some of that in here, and then we'll be done with that, and give it that little bit so that they have some of the minerals and they're good to go for starting off at a well-balanced compost and starting mix for your seedlings. They'll be really nutritious when they get to adulthood because they had a really nice start, and that's the basis of, you know, starting a really nice plant. So I'm going to end this video, and I hope you guys have a good week, and thank you for watching, and please subscribe.